God's calling you children home. It's very heavy on you, Suzanne. Ron, she thought you were going to be like, no way, Jose. And yet your reaction was, I guess we're going to see what faith looks like. Okay, so how do we get from on the end of the bed, him saying that, to Sozo Children, to Uganda? When did you first go to Uganda? Did you not? Did you start? What did that look like after that?
So we actually had our Kenya trip planned in June of 2010, which is pretty ironic.
Yeah.
So we had already planned that to go and be with that same Daraja Children's Ministry. And so when Alan and Jay told me all this, and I said, well, and Jay kept calling me because every day he wanted me to adopt another kid because of, you've got to adopt Mercy, you've got to adopt Vicky, there's heart stuff, and just so many miracles happening during that time. And then...
Well, stop. Can I clarify
adopting?
What that meant? Like when you said he wanted you to adopt.
Right. Well, he knew he couldn't adopt them because he was, 22 years old.
23.
So he wanted you to adopt them, bring them to
Yes,
bring them to
exactly.
America. Okay.
Which is not, as you know, that's not, I mean, we have had children adopted, but that's not really our goal.
Right,
Anyway, just, I guess, I don't even really, after that, I walked in the next day and I said, I guess we're going to take these kids. And the guy had come back to them and said they were closing the home. They identified 20 children for us to take, and they were the youngest, the very youngest. And so Alan and Jay would call and say, what are we going to do? And I said, well, if we're going to take them, we have to find a home. We have to hire moms and, hopefully a dad that can come in and help take care of these kids, because y'all are not, at that point, they didn't know what they were. They were just staying they were staying 9 months. So they were basically staying that year. And I said, I honestly don't even know what happened, truthfully. I think the Holy Spirit just descended on not only Ron and myself, but our church as well, because the year before when we were supposed to go to Kenya, people were calling me saying, I have somebody from Kenya and you can walk across Kenya, talking about the riots and all the things that were happening. And people were just naysaying.
Right.
No one called. No one said a thing when all this came out. It was like he just shut everybody's mouths and did a work that we've never even seen before. Like, we had no money. We had nothing. Jay had sold his truck to go on this trip. So I think we had $6,000 to rent a house and to start hiring somebody. We weren't even forward thinking of how to pay them every month, how to continue paying rent once that rent ran out. It was just like the Lord just took over and we did it. I don't even know what to say.
So did you make that decision when you were in Kenya?
No, we had not gone. We were still
not in Kenya yet.
No, this was in the early part of May. We were just trying to figure out how to even do all of this, to even get them to be picked up to bring them. So just the name Sozo itself, I was sitting at my desk at church and I had this huge concordance on my desk that I could, read and check for lessons or whatever. And I was like, Lord, what are we going to call this? And so for some reason, God just opened the pages to this sozo, which is a Greek word. And when you look at it in the Greek and the New Testament, sozo means to save and to rescue. And it doesn't only mean in the physical sense, but the spiritual sense. And I'm like, that is it. Like, yes, you want to do the humanitarian things and take care of people and give them things they need. But without Jesus, that's nothing. So the Jesus has to be in there. And I wanted to make sure we didn't call it like something that meant that you were just like hurting kids, or I don't know. I just was very sensitive to, no, even though we're called an institution, we're not an institution. We want to be a family home for our kids. So,
and there was no forward thinking, because it was there was. I mean, we just knew at this point in time there were 17 kids that needed help, and that's all we were trying to do.
Well, and also time was of the essence. It sounds like
yes,
they were shutting down.
They were going to shut it down. Where would they go? Yeah, where would they go?
Yes.
But so Alan and Jay just kind of took on with Dowdy, the same driver. That name, got to remember that name, remember? And so they introduced them to some people from that church and some other people and had them interview Gaba Church, yeah. And so we ended up hiring Aggie, which that name is
Okay,
very familiar. Okay.
Here.
Okay.
So, because we didn't talk about how you got the house. Like, how was that? How did that getting somewhere for the kids to be?
They rented it. I mean, Dowdy helped them.
Okay, so
Dowdy helped them find a guy.
Jay.
Yes,
Okay.
the guy's name was Silver. I think that was his name. His name was Silver, and he is the one that rented a little 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
Off of Entebbe Road.
And did they use the $6,000
to rent the house and to furnish it?
Okay.
To buy the bunk
beds. So they used the $6,000, which was from Jay selling his truck. And rented this house with that, and
hiring the 3 people, 2 moms and a dad.
So they hired 2 moms, 1 dad.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So Dowdy is the African or the Ugandan kind of helping being the middleman, I guess.
Yes, he is.
And so wow. Okay. So what's the time frame on this? Did this happen in like
2 weeks? In 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you bring the kids right away, or you did the
No, it took a minute. Okay. We did the hiring, got them hired, set the house up, went and bought all of the beds, the bedding, couch, chair, table, kitchen, like just utensils, everything you would need to start a house.
Right. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, you're starting a home. Who were your first? You said you hired Aggie. Mm-hmm. Was she one of the house moms?
One of the moms.
Okay.
And
so,
yeah,
who else did you
Brenda
hire?
and Mato.
Okay. So Aggie, Brenda, and Mato were
the first 3
Ugandans that hired.
Yes.
And Mato was the father.
Father.
And Aggie and Brenda. Okay.
None of them were related.
Okay. How did you find these people?
Through that church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Church. Okay.
And let me give you their ages, because this has like all 3 were under age 25.
Wow.
So when.
But they were like Jay and Alan.
Yeah, they had just graduated school, or had just started their adult lives as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you hire them, you get the house ready, which, I mean, thinking about this, I mean, I think most people listening to this probably live in the U.S. I think what it takes to get a house ready to live in. Mm-hmm. It's expensive.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of work. So Alan, they're all helping do that. Mm-hmm. And then when did the kids get to come?
They came the second week of May, and they had to rent a van to go pick them all up. Like I said, they were supposed to take 20, but only 17 of the kids were there that day, which is some of them came after that the following year, but they took 17, and they told them, I'm probably going to butcher this, but Tabat Tawala Walunji, I think Tabat Tawala Walunji, which means we're taking you to a better place. So the kids had no clue. They just knew they were getting on the van and going to a better place.
Wow.
That's what Dowdy told them.
Wow. So you said it was a 3-bedroom house? Mm-hmm. So how do you set up beds and living for 17 kids?
You have
adults?
A boys' room and a girls' room. And then Jay and Alan stayed in the 3rd room. And then the moms were in, the guy divided the garage up, and because it was a closed garage, and they slept out in like a utility room and a garage.
Wow. Okay, so, but even still, 1 room for all those girls. Is it like a 6-layer bunk bed? Or what
They're 3.
Okay.
3 high.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Another question is, when you hired Aggie, Mato, and Brenda.
Mato,
sorry. What did you say you were going to pay them? Like, how did that work?
I don't even remember back then. I mean, it was a fair wage. It was a Ugandan fair wage for them, for sure. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. But they obviously know that this is something that's just coming together.
Yeah. And finding a job in Uganda is extremely hard. Okay. So for them, it was incredible for them to have that opportunity. And we knew that they were good people from where we found them.
Right.
So
from Patrick's
yes,
church, right?
yes.
Where,
mm-hmm.
You had some relationship there.
Right.
Okay, so when was it? It was in April when you felt like the Lord was moved you for the children's home, right?
Yes.
So from that time to the end of May.
Well, it was May. what's our anniversary date? This is
15th,
terrible.
13th.
Is it the 13th or the 15th? It's the 13th,
13th.
right? It's May 13th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in a month.
Yes. It was less
you
than a
guys were
month.
renting a home.
Yeah, it was
and
really
housing
less than a
17
month.
children.
Yes.
And hired 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
So-
Like, looking back on
yeah.
that, I'm thinking about that time. Was there? Do you have any memories of what you were thinking? Was it just like disbelief, or I don't want to put, but
I think, like I said back then, it was just like the Lord just shut the naysayers' mouths.
Yeah.
But we did have some roadblocks, but more in Uganda. There was a group of people from America there that were also with that, staying there, and they tried to step in. We had some other opposition. I'd rather not. Just a lot of warfare,
Yeah.
I guess, and trying to stop what was happening. And it really boiled down to more of a money issue. We had to be very careful about where the money went to get it in the right hands. Mm-hmm. So it was really funny that Jay and Alan had met missionaries that worked at Watoto, which is another incredible ministry. And we were actually sending money to them for them to give money to Alan and Jay. The way we were MoneyGramming and the way we had to send it, so we made sure that it was sent and the money was going to be taken to the right place.
Right.
So it was just very difficult, I guess, trying to. Number one, we didn't know the culture of Uganda. We just knew there was a dire situation.
Yeah.
And number two, we were just trying to figure it out and making sure that we put the money to where it needed to help the kids the most and get the home started.
Right.
So
now they're in the home. And you're responsible for feeding them.
Yes.
And so how did you continue to, just thinking practically and logistically, how funding, continuing to pay for the rental of the home, the food, basics, how did that come?
Well, it really didn't come to be until, and this is going to throw a whole nother kink into it, is until the guys got back home, but they came home early because there was a bombing and our kids were in it. So that
was this the bombing that people would know about?
Yes, so it made national news. It was when the World Cup was
the
being
day of the
played.
World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
2004.
They were going out to a place called Ethiopian Village to watch the game. They got there late. There were actually 5 or 6 on the ground at that point. Several had come into town.
Y'all had just left the day before.
Yeah.
Right? I
had just come home. We had been to Kenya and been to Uganda, and we had just gotten home. And they were going out. Well, it was the day we left is when it happened.
Which month was this?
It was in the 1st of June. The very 1st of June.
June 2010.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
June of
yes.
2010.
Okay.
So
You went over to Uganda.
Yeah, went to Kenya first. We did our Kenya trip, and then we flew. We had 29 people go to Kenya on mission trip, and then some flew on over with us to Uganda, and then a few had been over there, went with us, and then some were staying with Alan and Jay down in where they were. So we had just come back home, and they were going to watch the World Cup. They got there late. A few of them, I think the girls made them late. And so they got there, there wasn't a seat, and then they found one table that was really blocked from the big screen of watching the World Cup. Alan said it was super hot in there. And there was like a little window with a curtain, and he said he couldn't open the curtain to get a breeze going through. He said he tried and couldn't open it. And they were sitting there, and then all of a sudden the bombs went off. So where they wanted to sit is where the backpack had been placed.
Wow.
Where the bomb went off. But I think there were 2 or 3 backpacks in that room.
Yeah. But there were like 35 people were killed.
But there was another location including that. It wasn't just that one location. But they called me. They had gotten out of there, and they called, and they said, we don't know what had happened. They were just in shock. And they said, there are body parts laying by us. We were walking in pools of blood. And I'm like, what is going on? And I said, get out of the city. Go to Sozo. Don't go to your apartment. Get Dowdy to go get your stuff. Get out of the city. Just get out of the city. And, Mason was like, no, we need to go back in and help. I said, guys, get out of there. Get in a car. I think Carrie was there. She had passed out. Catherine, their phones had busted.
And
it was
these
just
are
incredible.
People from your youth group.
Yes.
Over there. Okay.
Yeah, people that had gone over to spend the summer to minister and help in doing everything. So they finally got out of there and got back, and we started hearing that I thought maybe it was just something random, but then the more we started listening, we knew that it was a terrorist attack. And so I had said, please don't talk to anybody. I'm trying to get you home. Immediately tried to get them out. And it took me a minute, but we had them out of there in 24 hours. So they came back. So their long-term mission trip was cut short by several months.
I can't imagine, though, how you guys must have felt with kids from your youth group. I mean, they're in their 20s, obviously. Yeah. But still, with their parents.
Oh, yeah. And their parents are extremely good friends of ours. Our kids have grown up together. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the pressure and stress. How were you able to get them out within 24 hours?
I think it was just basically not giving up. Like, I was just like, get a flight. And I was on the phone with the airlines going, I've got to get them out. I've got to get them out, and they were like, we're not ready to go. We can't leave. I said, you're leaving. You're getting out. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. You're getting out. So, of course, talking to their parents, but basically just trying to be on the phone with the airlines. But we got them out they were out within 24 hours.
Did they resist, Alan and Jay?
At some point, but I think they were still in shock that they really didn't know what was going on. I think it was a lot. I mean, our girls their eardrums, like the explosion was so loud, and they still just from seeing what they saw, they didn't know. They were totally trusting us at that point. I said, y'all just get back home. We'll figure this out when you get home. Just come home.
So how many of them were there that you had to get out?
Alan, Jay, 6. Mason, Catherine, Carrie, and Jonathan, 6. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6.
So 6 youth. Okay, so the Sozo house has started. There are kids living there.
Yes, but they were living downtown. They were staying in an apartment.
How far away from the bombing is the Sozo house?
Oh, gosh. I mean, by car, probably, 40 minutes to an hour with traffic. Yeah, it was out of the city. It was not in Kampala.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I think those kind of things cause a lot of unrest.
Well, we didn't know who was targeted at the time. I mean, if it was, because that was, I think that particular restaurant, there was a lot of Americans that went there. So we didn't know if Americans were being targeted or anything else. So, I mean, to err to caution. That was one of the reasons. Yeah.
So you had everyone affiliated with the church and your youth out then right after that.
Yes, they all came home.
And this was in June.
Yes, this was June.
Right, okay. So you still have this house that is dependent upon you guys,
right,
or the organization to fund and feed. So where did you go from there?
So they came home and we just really, I guess, started figuring out, this is something long term and we're going to have to figure out where the money comes from. So, of course, Jay's money had pretty much been depleted from everything we had done. And I felt bad and wanted to give him his money back. And we had many people in the church that donated. They would donate. And the church was so nice to let us have a designated account that people could give to because we had applied for our 501c3, but that takes a minute. And you can't open a checking account until you go to a certain point. So it takes a minute. So we were just using the church for a designated account. And then they were giving us money out but we had paid for 6 months of rent. And all I remember is that Alan and I were sitting at the bar at our house because that's where we had, kind of landed. And I was like, okay, we're going to have to figure out how to sustain this now that this is happening. And Ron and I currently had supported 3 different children from 3 different organizations. And I'm like, why don't we do a sponsorship program? So we came up with a 4-part sponsorship at $35 a month. And so, of course, people immediately started doing that, which still was not enough at that point, but it was something we started with. So that kind of started it.
I love the idea, or just thinking about the house is rented, the children are there.
Yeah.
The staff have been hired.
Yeah.
And you are sitting at your kitchen bar okay.
How are we going to pay for this?
How are we going to keep this going, which is, just incredible how... I don't know, it's like you guys say, when it's something that God has his hand on,
Yeah.
and he's, worked out. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a matter that we kind of listen and follow
Ex-
directions,
yeah.
from the,
It's
so
surreal, I think. I mean, you
Yeah.
look back at it and it's like, how did that even happen?
Right.
Like, why did that happen?
Yeah. In the ironic part, because we were struggling. Then when I say it was all God because we did not have the resources and stuff at the time. I had money sitting in a pension, but I couldn't get to it till I was 55. I wasn't 55. And, it was actually when, a little later down the line, when Suzanne leaves the church, we end up coming back and spending everything to
Keep it going.
keep it going. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was, and let's just say we didn't make enough money to keep it going. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
and so
But
it
that's
was.
when you know it's God's.
Yeah,
That's when you
absolutely.
find out that
Yeah.
he's gonna take care of those
Right.
kids.
And then how much there has to be in community, how much, because we're not the only ones. Even a lot of times when you feel like you're the only one, you're called out, to do something, but we're not the only one. We have 1,000 supporters of Sozo, and it's them that God's,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Using for
Yeah.
sure.
I like that you bring that up, that it takes a community, because I do think that, going back to your earlier comments about knowing you're not equipped, like knowing I do not have what it takes. Like, I wish I did, but I don't.
Yeah.
And it's the same with sustaining, and like it takes a community. It takes us coming together and really trusting, honestly. One of my favorite things this is a little bit non-related, might edit some of this out, but just how, early on in James and my marriage, because of his background in childhood, he really struggled with trust for me. And even though I had done nothing to, lose his trust, but it was from everything he'd seen.
Sure.
And finally it obviously caused some issues, but finally he said, I felt like the Lord spoke to me, and he said, I don't have to trust you, but I trust the Holy Spirit in you. I trust that you
That's
that
good.
you know Jesus, that you follow Jesus, and I trust that he's in you and that he's gonna. And I think that's the same, connecting that to this ministry,
Right.
is that you trust that Jesus is in people, and you trust that if he moves them to come alongside and be a part and support,
Yeah.
then they will.
You have to. You have
Yeah,
to trust
so
that.
it's
Yeah.
not like, and I think that's it's counterintuitive to our human nature
For sure.
to think like that. So you're at your kitchen bar, and you're like, okay, we're going to do a sponsorship program for like 4 different, I don't know, what, $35 per kid.
For
This is
4,
how-
yeah.
you're coming up with some kind of system to help sustain this.
Right.
Okay, so you said it did. People started right away.
Yes.
Jumped on board and
Yes.
helping. What was like the next big moment or like thing that happened for Sozo? Was it just scrambling, figuring it out? Like,
We had
have
3
this month, this
fundraisers
month?
in one weekend
Okay.
in 2010.
Okay. Which month was this now?
In
July-
August.
August. Okay. This is all a very
We had to
short
have
time
money.
period. So in August, you did 3 fundraisers
Yes.
in one weekend?
Yes, one weekend.
Were these in different places?
Uh-huh.
Or, okay,
Yeah.
so this definitely is the next big thing.
Yes.
What were the fundraisers?
So we did a golf tournament,
Uh-huh.
we did a dinner, and we did a mud run.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are not small. Those
No.
aren't like selling rotisserie chicken.
No.
They're
No.
like big things. Okay, so, and you planned this in 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody at Sozo has any excuses for not being able to do some events.
There you go, Haley.
Okay. Okay, so who organized these?
We
Very good
did.
question.
Yeah.
Did you offload to certain?
Well, we were all volunteer at that point. So it was Ron and myself, Alan and Jay and Colby. And I think that was about it that first year.
Mason too. It was-
Mason, for
yeah.
sure, Mason, yes. I don't think the others, we had other people wanting to help, but they weren't on, but it was all volunteer. We were all just volunteering our time, trying to get our head together. Colby was incredible with graphics and, stuff like that. And of course, Alan was the operational guy. He was, doing all those things. And And I guess I was the one going, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And I think that came from the youth ministry background of trying to raise money for these kids to go on mission trips and from my training and, just knowing logistics and how to set the admin part of it up. But we just did it. I mean, we were like, we have to pay school fees because our kids needed to go to school. And
So was there a reason why you did them all in one weekend?
I really don't know. Other than it was like, I think the biggest reason was we knew that we had school fees to pay and we weren't getting enough on a monthly basis. So we were like, maybe out of the 3, we can raise enough money to get their school fees paid and pay these people.
A lot of it was awareness. I mean, I think the mud run was, because here, and she mentioned a little about the bombing. The ironic part about the bombing, when Jay and Alan came over here, several of the news stations started doing interviews. Picked them up. Oh. And it said, you're 23 years old, and you went to Uganda and you started a children's home. Yeah. And so it became, who are you? I mean, why would you? Here's 2 kids that one's going to be a doctor and one's going, or a dentist, and here's one, that's going into, got a business degree, and all of a sudden you just stop to go do this. I mean, so it was really,
that's it kind of created.
It did. I mean,
to get the word out.
Yeah. And really it says, because you believe in these words, and this is what's led you to go and do this.
Yeah.
And it's really that was. And again, the mud run was more just awareness. Let's just come out and create something fun.
It was fun
because people were doing mud runs at the time, and then and we had them, and we needed shoes, so we did the mud run. But part of doing the thing in the mud run is you had to leave your shoes. So we got the shoes, went and washed them, and sent the shoes over to Uganda, so people would end up having shoes.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So do you know how much money that you raised that weekend?
Oh, God.
It wasn't enough, I can tell you.
I think I know that the golf tournament was out at Purcell.
Yeah.
And we really wouldn't have made money, but the Purcells gave us a grant of, I think it was like $3,500.
No,
so
$6,000.
Was it 6?
Remember, yes,
Maybe we made a total of 6 off of that. The mud run probably made about that same. And the dinner we may have made maybe 25 or 50,000. I don't know. I mean, I don't even think it was 50,000. We've made what do you think? Even 50 out of the whole weekend?
Not in the beginning would have been lucky. But again, it was awareness. And because of the things that we did, over the period of time, we made much more than that because people would say, you're doing this? Well, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And it led people to go on teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do mission trips there. And I think just people going and really seeing this is legit and this is a real deal and how much it's helping. I think that we've gained just so much more favor and respect just because people can really see that the money is definitely going to take care of these kids and provide incredible opportunities for them.
These are actual children.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we did these things. The ministry is not about raising money, but we have to have money to do the work.
Absolutely.
So
That's how the world works, for sure.
Yeah.
So in August you did the trifecta. The 3 events, 1 weekend.
Are you going to try that, Haley, in your next fundraising opportunity?
2026.
There you go. 3 in 1.
Y'all didn't have that much lead time. Y'all only had 6 weeks, right? That's incredible. So that it did help, I guess, a little bit feel like, awareness for sure, but to feel like that you had some money to be able to keep going.
So in September, we opened a home in Montana.
Okay. September 2004.
2010.
September 2010. This was a very busy year.
Yes, it was.
Okay. You opened a children's home in Montana.
Yes.
Okay. So
foster home.
Yeah.
Foster home.
It was.
So when did that happen?
September of 2010.
So as you were still trying to fund.
Yes, we decided we're going to do one more.
Okay. Wow. So how did that come?
Well, we have had that relationship with the missionaries there in Montana for many years. And after Ron had said, Ron the missionary, not Ron, that Ron, after he had said that he always wanted one, they were very active on a reservation called Lame Deer. and there were a lot of kids that needed help. So they told us that there was a home for rent in the middle of Lame Deer. So we rented it, and then his son, Justin, Ron's son, Justin, that lived in Montana, moved in the home with Matt, which was another one of our youth, and Mason, Jay, and Colby. I think all of them, they took turns being out there and taking care of the kids. And so we opened that home. We went out and cleaned for like a week solid because the house had not been used in a minute. So we cleaned it and got everything ready. Didn't pay anybody. This was all missionary kind of work. And I can't remember how many, maybe 6 or 7 kids that we took in. We really couldn't show their faces or do anything. We'd have to go back in all the pictures to see. There's one picture of them standing on the reservation with their holding hands with their backs. It's the sweetest little thing. But their abuse and their vulnerability was just as bad as what the Ugandan babies had been through.
Incredible.
I mean, just unbelievably bad.
It's incredible to think that happens.
Oh, it was terrible.
And the beauty of it, when you start thinking about it, you have all these little backstories that while everything is going on, it's just little things like Justin. I've even forgot about that. When we first go to Montana, he's packing up.
He wasn't a believer.
He wasn't a believer. He was packing up and leaving.
Yeah.
In fact, was in his car. And for some reason, why would all these people come out here to help my mom and dad, to end up doing it? So he kind of hung around for the weekend. And then he actually became part of that and actually adopted some of the kids from the reservation. So it's just, there's always
a beautiful story.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like offshoots, its own little series of things that come back and take place.
That's incredible. That's really neat. So you started the Montana home, and that got off the ground. Mm-hmm. And so were you guys having to come up with ideas to, sustain that financially?
Yes, the same.
And was that fully on you guys and the church?
Yes.
Or was the church?
The church wasn't involved with any of when we did our 501c3, I did it just as Sozo only. So as just a faith-based ministry. So we didn't tie it to a church. So we were trying to raise funds for both homes at that time.
Okay.
They could go under sponsorship, but we couldn't share anything on media about them.
Okay. So is the Sozo home still open?
Mm-hmm. In Uganda?
In Montana?
In Montana, no. Okay. Unfortunately, about 6 months after that, the tribal affairs, or I don't know, the entities of the Indian affairs, they shut us down.
Okay.
And said that we couldn't be open anymore. So, but the good news about that is because those missionaries were there, those kids were able to come off the reservation and go to Big Timber where we served, and then they were then fostered by individual families and then adopted, like Ron said, by Justin and other people there. So
that's cool.
It was a beautiful, that's the beautiful story in it, is that's how it came to pass. Yeah. So anyway, but it was great for the 6 months, and I love the fact that some of those kids are very well taken care of and never had to go back on the reservation again.
Right.
So.
I mean, when you hear 6 months, but in 6 months, you have these kids who their entire life trajectory was completely changed. And
big time.
Which is a generational,
for sure,
blessing and shift, for them, which is really cool.
Right.
So, wow. Okay. So there was 2 homes that lasted about 6 months. And then did you turn your attention back to Sozo in Uganda? Okay. Yeah. So let me just quick summary where we're at now. We're in 2010, and within a few months, God just laid on your heart. There was obviously the backstory that we told, but children's home, make the move. And how it started with Jay's $6,000 from selling his truck, which is kind of neat. that seed money, look where it is now. Mm-hmm. Was able to rent this house. You're going to do these events. Like, what are we going to do next? There was no, like you said, forecasting, planning, how's this going to work? And then fast forward, so that was 2010. So we're looking at 15 years ago. 15 years ago. And yeah, because your 15th anniversary is May. Sozo's 15th anniversary is May. So back from the beginning of that, to know that there are now somewhere between 130, 140 children in Sozo's care. That land has been purchased. Like, this is just a recap of the beginning. 8 houses on the property, 2 rental homes, 50 staff members in Uganda, approximately 25 in Birmingham. Could you have ever imagined you'd be sitting here today hearing that that's where Sozo Children sits? Right
Absolutely not.
As far as the stats. I mean,
Yeah, no.
it really is just an incredible story and journey.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for any of us with anything to revisit how it started at the beginning, because he says that, you know, they will know me by the testimony of my people, to be able to tell the story. Like you said, to say how, you you weren't equipped, like you didn't have what it takes. You hadn't even been to Uganda, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yet, this was his plan. And you guys were faithful. And it's really just a testimony to, I think, what God can do and what he will do and what he has plans to do if we let him.
And it was even 3 more years before I ever went.
Wow. So 3 years until you even went. Incredible. All right. So we're going to hear the rest of the story later. Thank you for joining Sozo Podcast. It's such an honor to get to be able to ask the questions and learn more as I sit here. But stay tuned for next episode to hear the rest of the story.